Hello everybody, my name is Kara and today I am here with the Abookalypse tag. This tag was created by Olivia from Read by Liv and she was also the one who tagged me and I will link her down below. Question number 1 is evacuate. Everyone is out safely but you can only go back and grab one book. Which book do you grab and why? I am going with Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell by Susanna Clarke. This is one of my favorite books and it's also a massive book, and I've been talking recently about how I kind of want to reread it at some point, and this is definitely a chunky enough novel that I think it'll keep me busy until I can start to rebuild my library. Question number 2 is, it's the Abookalypse! Choose a book that would help you with survival skills. And I'm going with Hatchet by Gary Paulson. We had to read that book in school a long time ago, and I hated it. I really didn't like that book. But I do remember there were like a couple of kind of useful things about like which foods to eat, or like how to survive by yourself and how to fish or hunt or something. It's been a long time, so maybe I'm completely wrong, but I think there were some like practical applications in that book that hopefully would save my life. Number 3 is grab anything you will need. Grab a fan or book-related item you would want to save. And I'm going to go with my beautiful 80th anniversary edition of Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier. This is mainly for like sentimental reasons because I got this book very recently for my birthday and it was from my mom. And it just was such a wonderful surprise. Like, it means a lot to me because people don't give me books very often. Like, I read so much and I get so many books myself that it kind of makes sense why people like don't get me books in case I already have them. But the fact that my mom remembered that I had mentioned Rebecca like wanting to get a different copy because mine was so old. Like, I hadn't even specifically said like, I want a new copy of Rebecca. She just knew that I wanted one and that I had mentioned how beautiful this edition was. And she surprised me with it. Like, I was so shocked when I opened the box, like my jaw actually dropped. It was just such a wonderful present from my mother, so definitely going back to get this one. As far as fan items, I have this really beautiful pair of Pride and Prejudice earrings that have like Elizabeth and Mr. Darcy's names on them. They're really cool. I'll have to wear them in a video at some point, but I think I would also want to go back and get those because, again, kind of sentimental because I love Jane Austen. It was a huge part of my life growing up, and also because I got them in England at the Jane Austen Center, so it's not something that's easily replaceable. Question number 4 is zombies are coming. Which books on your TBR are you dying to read? And I picked up a couple here. I have A Skinful of Shadows by Frances Hardinge. This is the most recently published novel of my favorite author of all time, so I'm pretty excited about this. And I actually was holding off on getting it for a long time because I have this like tendency to stockpile my favorite authors, so like I just put off reading the books even though I know I'll love them. Anyway, really excited to get to this one. And another one is The Tenant of Wildfell Hall by Anne Bronte. This is such a short book, and it might actually be a novella technically. So this is one of the Brontes that I've never read. I really enjoyed Wuthering Heights. Did not like Jane Eyre at all. I think I've said this before in videos, but that's the only classic novel that I think I've ever DNF'd. Like, I quit reading at the halfway point. I've never read anything by Anne Bronte, and this sounds like it's gonna be really fierce and feminist and kind of spooky, as I tend to expect from like the Bronte sisters' books and work. So I'm really looking forward to this, especially because it's a classic that I hadn't even heard of until like a year ago or something. Number 5 is We Need Fire. Which 3 books would you be willing to burn from your shelf? Yes, you have to choose. And to make this extra difficult for myself, I decided I couldn't pick anything that was in my unhaul box, which as it sounds is my box that I always keep around as I like continuously unhaul books because I do that very frequently. So I decided that wouldn't be fair because apparently I love to suffer and make things more difficult for myself. And of course I do not condone book burning, it's never okay, but you know, for the sake of the tag question, here we go. The first one is Mortal Heart by Robin Lefevre, and this is for Assassin series. I love it. But this is the third book, and I hated this one. Like, the first and the second book are so good, and I do think this book is like, it's worth reading if you enjoy the other two because there is some like plot stuff that's talked about. I didn't like the way the story went. Like, I was really excited for Aneth's story, like the main character, and I didn't like what the author did with her character, and I hated the romance in this book. It was so like creepy and it made me so uncomfortable. Like, if you've read this book you probably know the aspect I'm talking about. It was just like I did not jive with it. I couldn't look past that. And just a lot of things about this book were so disappointing. And the only reason I haven't unhauled it is because the series was recently, like, it was announced that it was going to be continued, so now this isn't the last book in a trilogy. So I feel like since there's going to be books after it, I should probably hold on to it, at least until I know if I enjoyed the series continuation. Because I have unhauled companion, like, trilogy books before. Like, I have one on my shelf where I got rid of the last book because I hated it, and I knew I was never going to reread it. But given the fact there might be more books, I haven't gotten rid of it. And the next book is Hex Hall by Rachel Hawkins. Now, I liked this book. I really enjoyed it. It was really fun and entertaining and funny, but it's not like a favorite of mine. I think I gave it 3.5 stars. And I do have the rest of the series, like I am planning to continue it, but this is one of those series where I kind of feel like the whole series will sort of hover around 3 or 3.5 stars, meaning I will probably unhaul it if I don't feel like I'm gonna go back to it. And then my last one is Fangirl by Rainbow Rowell. Very unpopular opinion. I know a lot of people love this book. I actually talk about this book quite a lot for like questions like this, like negative book questions, but I really didn't like it. The first, like at the time when I read it, I thought it was okay, but I think I let the hype kind of talk me into liking it more than I actually did. This was like right at the beginning of when I discovered BookTube. And just as time goes on and I think about it more, there were so many things about this book I didn't like. And it's just Rainbow Rowell is an author who I just don't plan on reading anymore. And the only reason I still have this one is because my sister really likes it, so I haven't gotten rid of it because of her. Number 6 is All the Stories Were True. Which fictional world would you never be able to survive in? I mean, I love fantasy, so pretty much most of my favorite books I feel like I would die in those worlds, but especially for the Grisha world, books by Leigh Bardugo. I'm doing a full review on this series, which I will link below in case that is live, and I really didn't like these books. But I also know that that does not mean I would survive in this world for very long. All of the backstory in these books and all of the like current plot is just so dangerous. In just every way. There's like ordinary danger where armies are slaughtered, magical danger from sorcerers who should know better but they don't. There are just so many things that go wrong in this series, and I think just about any one of them could end me. Number 7 is Lone Survivor. Which character would you choose to be your companion or protector during the Abookalypse? I'm going with Katsa from the Graceling trilogy by Kristen Cashore. Her instincts and her training and everything, she's just very good at like surviving and at saving people and at killing people if necessary. So I would definitely want her on my team. If I could convince her to like go along with me and be my companion, I think I'd make it, even in the Grisha world. Number 8 is Procreate. All of the literature is gone. Which book would you introduce as the first new classic? Also, bless Olivia for not making this a question about, like, having babies with somebody. And I'm going with Blood, Water, Paint by Joy McCullough. I read this book very recently, and I did a full review on it, which I will link down below. It was so powerful, so well written. It's based on the true story of this kick-ass lady from history, and who is just incredibly intelligent and talented. And Artemisia Gentileschi is her name, in case you haven't picked up on that from all of the times I've mentioned her recently. But I highly, highly recommend this book, and I think the fact that it focuses on a historical figure in like a particular like time period, it also weaves in storytelling and like women from the past. I think that would give some great historical context, and also the fact that the writing is so beautiful and precise and moving. It really is something where on every page you can find something to like pull out and talk about. And finally, question number 9 is start a new community. Tag a BookTube buddy. I'm going to tag Rocky from Blonde with a Book, Allie from Allie M Books, Miriam from Between Lines in Life, Manal from Manal and Her Books. And I'm also going to tag Dane from Dane Reads. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you soon with another video, and I hope you love the next book you read. Bye!